Hi, this is Gary Lenaire, and welcome to Boss Tone Video. We're live here in the studio in Los Angeles, California, and today we have a very, very special guest introducing to you Mr. John 5.
How are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing, John?
Good.
Great. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
You've enjoyed a really successful music career. Tell us, how did it all start for you?
I was in Michigan, and I just wanted to be a session guitarist. And that was my dream, is just to live in Los Angeles and be a session guy and have a happy life playing guitar, making music. I left my home and drove out to Los Angeles. It's funny, with the drummer from Megadeth. His name is Chuck Bueller, and he played on the So Far So Good So What Megadeth album. So we're just driving out there and moved to LA, and I stayed in this weird office for a few days. I got all my money stolen, and so I was off to a great start. But I never gave up, and I just got a job and started parking cars and working at Penguins Frozen Yogurt, and just slowly started to baby steps of moving towards a career.
Your guitar technique is both original and really, really creative. What are your musical influences?
I knew early on, we already have one Eddie Van Halen and one Yngwie Malmsteen and all that stuff, so I just thought to myself, well, I'm going to, do it something a little different and do some chicken picking and some bluegrass and some western swing inside of this really heavy music to make myself stand out a little bit. But I really enjoy Jerry Reed and Chet Atkins and people like that, Les Paul, the playing like that. I just really enjoy listening to that, and I have my whole life. But I also love, all of our great shredders we have today. So I just wanted to meld the two and see how it comes out. And, I've luckily had a lot of people enjoy it and influence some people, so it's great. It worked out really well.
You mentioned Van Halen. You played with David Lee Roth. Tell us about that.
When I was a kid, I just, wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. I wanted to be married to Valerie Bertinelli and, the whole thing, and playing Van Halen. And luckily, I got a chance to write some songs for Dave. And, back in '98, we actually still make music, and today, and he's a great guy, and he's turned out to be a lifelong friend. So it's worked out really well. So he's a great guy. I just talked to him a few days ago, and it's really good to have, meet people throughout your life that you've looked up to your whole life.
Marilyn Manson. Now, that was a huge break for your career. Is there any one memory from those days that stands out more than the others? We
were in New York. I think it was Black Sabbath, Marilyn Manson. It was like one of those Ozfests. And Nick Bocott over at Marshall was like, hey, why don't you come into the city? Jim Marshall, the founder of Marshall Amplifiers, is going to be down at the club with Les Paul. So I said, well, I can't miss that. So I went down there, and I got a chance to say hello to Les Paul, who I've never met, and, just listen to these guys converse about music and old times and things like that. So I was a fly on the wall, and it was just a real honor to be there. And so I'm in the audience watching Les Paul play and just getting the privilege to see this master who I've loved, my whole life, his music. And he was inviting people from the crowd to come up and play. I was like, boy, I really hope, there's no way. I, wasn't thinking of myself. I was like, I hope he doesn't call me up. There's no way, he doesn't know who I am, and there's no way he's calling me up on stage. I get up on stage, and, my knees are knocking. And, of course, what kind of guitar do I have with me? Not a Les Paul, I have a Telecaster. So strike one, And he says, so what do you know? And I said, well, I'll just, chime in wherever. A strike two, I'm sweating, just like, and he's like, who is this, freak? He's got no eyebrows and he's playing a Telecaster on my stage. But for some reason, just all the stars aligned and everything just came out perfect. And I started playing. I just zoned out of everything. And it was such a magical moment. Les Paul stopped playing and he said, son, I've seen a lot of guitar players, but you impressed me. It was one of the greatest times of my life. And that was, during the Marilyn Manson days. And, I don't think anybody really understood, what a great moment that was. But it was a great moment for me.
Now, this might be something that is maybe a smaller known fact. You've also worked as a staff writer for Chrysalis Records.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It was Chrysalis Publishing, and I would just write for everybody I could, whoever was looking. So I got a chance to write with a lot of artists, from, Meatloaf to Scorpions to Leonard Skinner to Ricky Martin to, everybody down the line, and it was really great to be a part of these people's catalogs, Very exciting because I've listened to all these people, my whole life, and great to have that on my, on my list of things that I've done. And I just wrote some music for Rod Stewart and, a lot of people that I've looked up to my whole life. And, I never really even imagined I'd be doing what I'm doing today, and I'm so thankful for it.
What does tone mean to you?
Tone, I believe, is pretty much in your hands and in your soul. And I think any guitar player will sound like them, even if they pick up an acoustic guitar. Jimi Hendrix will sound like Jimi Hendrix. But it is very important to me to have a great sound. And I think using great gear always, helps that. It adds that great sound to your playing ability and to your hands. So I think it's really important to have great gear with you. I've always used Boss, ever since, I picked up a guitar. The new pedal I'm using is, I was talking to you about it, recently, and how it has helped, my tone, because I love clarity. That's the one thing I really love. If people listen to my records and stuff, I love clarity. And this new pedal is really, it's really helped with that.
Let's take a listen to an example that you did earlier. Let's cut to an example on the DA2. Why is it, do you think, that many guitarists use Boss pedals?
I think a lot of guitar players want to associate themselves with greatness. The great car, the beautiful wife, the big house. And that's how it is with equipment, really. It sounds silly, but it's true. And when you go on stage and have those Boss pedals, you're hitting with the big boys, and you have that great tone.
John, you also use some other Boss pedals. I believe you use a chorus and also a noise suppressor.
Yes, and then the Super Overdrive.
Okay.
And I've always used those pedals. Whenever anyone sees my pedal board, they'll always see the white, the blue, and the yellow. But now, I'm using the new pedal. It'll be the white, the blue, and the orange.
This one right here?
Yeah, that guy. You told me about this, the DA2, and I tried it out, and I love the clarity of the pedal, and I just started rehearsing with it, and I love it so much. So it is going to be the new addition of the family, and a warm welcome.
Now, recently, you also did some jamming on the new TE2 Terra Echo, as well as the MO2 multi-overtone. You did a video for us recently. I'd like to show a couple clips very quickly of you demonstrating those pedals. You recently scored the new Rob Zombie movie. Tell us about that.
I was on tour with Rob, and he said, I knew he was making Lords of Salem. He was writing the script. We were on the bus, and he said, hey, what do you think about scoring the movie? Because I did some scoring before. I did a little work on Baywatch, and I did some work on a Johnny Depp film called From Hell, and, little bits and pieces. And I said to myself, well, sure, I can do that. I've done it before, but I've never scored a whole film, a feature film. And I'll tell you, it was so much work. I couldn't believe it. There was something like 60 cues. And I'll tell you, it just came out great. I mean, I was doing all sorts of weird stuff. Like I played the acoustic guitar with a violin bow for like the main theme, and we did a lot of orchestral music, and I'm very proud of it. That comes out in April. It's called The Lords of Salem.
Well, speaking of Rob Zombie, you've got a tour coming up.
We have a tour coming up. We're going to announce that later on in the month, and it's going to be a massive tour, and that's when the DA2 will make its live appearance. I never even wanted to be a touring musician. I just wanted to be a recording artist type of session guy. But I really enjoy touring in the States in the summertime. For some reason, it's like heavy metal summer camp. All these places I go to, it's just like it's like home. I know it's strange because I've been touring for so long. I know if we're in a certain town or a certain city, I know my way around. So it's a lot of fun. And we have a new record coming out in April, and we're really excited about it. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Looking forward to seeing you on that tour.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for coming into the studio and talking with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I hope to talk to you really soon.
Great, thanks.
All right. And thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you.